Hello and welcome to Smart Business Manager video series. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to take your stock accurately and properly and with the least consuming time. So let's get into it now. Okay, so what is the reason for taking stock? There are several reasons why you want to take stock. Some persons take stock that they actually want to know their stock value, right? And some people take stock that they just want to confirm the values of their products, the quantities of their product. But in actual sense, if you are using Smart Business Manager very well and very accurately, you actually do not need to do your stock taking to know your stock value. Because if you look at this dashboard I'm showing you now, you can see your stock value, right? You can see it right away. Anytime as you're making sales, as you're making purchases, it keeps changing, and you can see that your stock value should be accurate by now. Now, if you actually know this stock value, so why do you take stock? Stock is simply because you want to reconfirm whether what you have in your system is what you have physically. Let me give you an example. For instance, I open my inventory, my product database. I can see this product here. I can see 2K perfume right here. Is reading 3, right? So it's reading 3 on my system. It's supposed to read 3 also on my shelf, right? So if I go to my shelf and I'm seeing 2, then that means there's something wrong. So 1 is out. There are several reasons that could have caused it. Maybe not properly entering it, or somebody must have taken it, or somebody must have sold it without entering, or something. So several things might have caused it, but the most important thing is that if you are very diligent with using your software and you're managing your business, it should be that if 24K perfume is reading 3 on your system, it should also be reading 3 on your shelf. However, but for the fact that we know that this could not be possible sometimes, and that is the reason why we call it cycle count. So occasionally, as a business owner, you could assign somebody, or you could actually, if you have the time to do it by yourself, to do what we call stock taking. Now, since I said the stock taking is just for you to confirm the quantities, and not just to confirm, immediately you confirm those quantities, you balance it up immediately, and that's the essence of stock taking. And the third thing you are now going to have is that you are now going to have a report, right? A report of the stock taking you have done, to be able to show that, okay, I had 3 quantities of the 24K perfume I mentioned earlier, then on my shelf is remaining 2, so that means there's a difference of 1. So the stock taking should be able to now tell you there's a shortfall of 1 and the actual value of that 1, so you might be able to now make your business decisions. Of course, that's the reason why we look at reports in the first place. The report is going to teach us lessons. We need to look at what has been done in the past and be able to now look for how to move forward. So without taking your time now, let's go to stock taking platform. This software has what we call the stock taking platform. If to get that, you just go to inventory. Once you click inventory, you see the stock taking platform here. Now right now I'm at the stock taking platform, and basically there are 3 ways. Traditionally, some persons just take their stock, they take their paper and the biro and start writing their stock and the quantities and all that, you understand? So it becomes a little bit more tedious and all that. But there are 3 ways you can take your stock right here. All you can do is that I can decide to just click this button here, right? I can click this button, this load all. What is it going to do? It's going to load all my products on my shelves, and I will just come here. You can see the available quantity. You can see that 24K perfume I mentioned earlier. So now it's showing the actual count, right? It's showing the actual count right here. And what do I have here? Actual count is showing that I have 3, right? And this is the variation, this is the amount, and this is the expiry date. Right now, for this to use this software, this platform, there's only 2 things you can change here, which is your actual count and your expiry date. For instance, you are not too sure of your expiry date. This is an opportunity for you to also change your expiry date. But however, to get this actual count means that you have gone to your shelves and confirmed it. Like I said earlier, you have 2. So if you have 2 as your actual count of 24K perfume, all you need to do is just to put 2 here, right? Once you put 2 here, the computer calculates this as a difference. Now what do you see here? The variation is 1. That means 3 minus 2 is 1, and it shows you amount. What is this amount? This is actually the cost price of this 24k perfume times the quantity that is variated. So that means if we have a difference of 1, as let's say the product is supposed to be 3, but we'll saw 2, so there's a difference of 1, so it's going to times this 1. Okay, let's do, imagine we saw only 1 there. Now what does that mean? If I click here and what I'm seeing here is now 2, the variation of 2, so you can see the amount is now 4,600. so you know that the cost price is actually 2,300 times 2, that's 4,600. so at the end of the day, you can see the total value here is 4,600, right? So if you, the more you count, let's say for this product 3 Crown Milk is supposed to be 9, and I'm seeing 7, so you can see there's a variation of 2 also here. And when I have 2 here, so 2 times the cost price, I'm sure the cost price must have been 200 and probably 258 or so, right? Now times 2, that gave you 516, right? So you can see the 516 plus 4,600, that has given us what? 5,116. so that is the variation. So if you load all the products, so I said the first step is just to load all the products here and count it. This is very applicable to persons that their stocks are not that large. Maybe you have just like a few number of stock, probably like 100, 200 or 300. It's easy for you to just do this straight away, right? And you can see now I have 4,951 items here, so it will be very difficult for me to count 4,951 items at the same time while I'm making sales, which now gives us the second option. Now the second option is that is the essence of when, if you watch the video on when I said when you are creating products, you need to create the category and the shelf, which is the essence, is this stock taking part that you really see the essence of it, right? Now I can decide to sort or filter this my products here, because to count it, we've discovered that it is difficult for you to actually count products of like 4,951, right? So but alternatively is that you can decide to count it shelf by shelf, right? So if I decide to load only shelf 1, right, and click this load, what will the system do? The system will just bring in only products in shelf 1. I can decide to load products on shelf 2, right? I can decide to load product on shelf 2 and let's say product on shelf D and click load. You can see I have just 2 products here on shelf D, right? So depending on the product you have, you can see that if I actually have, let's say I have just these 2 products on there, I can easily just take this stock of these products on this shelf, and after I'm done, I could just save it and I'm done with shelf D. So imagine you have like 20 shelves. All you just need to do is simply to just take the shelves one by one, and that is what we call cycle count. So you don't need to stress yourself to start thinking of counting, because it actually makes it very easy for you to count. What you are actually interested in is you want to check the correctness of your products on the shelves, right? So all you need to do is just to simply do it bit by bit using this shelf. You can also use categories. Now for instance, I have different categories here. I have cosmetics, injections and all that, so I can decide to do only cosmetics, right? You can still sort it by looking at, okay, I want to check all the cosmetics on this particular shelf. Or if you don't want to use if you want to use only category, all you need to just put this one on all, right? When I was using that shelf D, my category was on all, so I can decide to check only my shelves, all the shelves, but the products that are in cosmetic line. So once I click this one, what will the system load for me? The system will just load for me all the products that are on the cosmetic line, right? To just show me all the products on this cosmetic line, and now all I just need to do is simply need to count. Now you can either count the products with the system, especially if you're using a laptop or something, and just be putting the quantities. But if you do not want to do that, there's an option for you to now do what we call print entry form. Now if you have an A4 printer, a printer with you in your business, so all you need to do, I click this print entry form. It's going to now show me a form. You understand? You can see I have 24 pages right here now. So depending on your products you have, you can do it. You can take, and I can decide to take only 2 pages or 3 pages and print it, right? You can decide to print all of them. To print, you just to click this button and print. So once I printed, what am I going to do next? With this printout, you can see everything is just here. This is the product, this is the shelf, this is the cost price, right? To show you that, to be sure of exactly what you're counting, because sometimes the way you pack your product might be confusing, right? So but if the person look at the cost price, be able to be sure that that is the how it's presented. Then you look at this actual count. This is the only thing you need to fill in this form. So if you print out this thing, just take this into the shelves and put this actual count for each and every of these products. Then if the expiry date has changed, all you need to do is just to use your biro to change it here, right, before you come and enter. After doing this, you take that same paper that you have printed, that you have counted the actual quantity, and now come here. Once you just come here, all you need to do is just to come here and fill in all the products here, right? You just need to fill in all the products. So you can imagine I'm looking, I've counted this particular product. I will just come in actual count and start putting the products, and just start pressing. By pressing your down key, you can just see put in 5, 2, 3. You can just put in whatever the products you have counted, and the system calculates it. Once you are done, all you need to do is now simply to do what I call overwrite. Now once you click this override button, okay, I'm going to take a very simple one to illustrate. Like I want to do my shelf D, which I did earlier, and I'm going to change this quantity to 0, my remaining, and this other product I'm going to change it to 3. So you can see the difference, the variation is 100 and 400, so the value is 500, right? And what do I need to do there? So for this one, because it's just to put, I didn't need to print an entry form. All I just needed to do was just to save. And what I mean by save, just to update it, right? It says proceed to update changes. I said yes. The system have done that. It has corrected these quantities from 5 to 3, and it is also going to print what we call a variation report. Now this is a variation report, the stock taking report done on so day. This is the ID, right? Now you are going to see that there's a variation. This product was on shelf D and the quantity was 1, but when I counted it, I discovered it was 0, so there's a variation of 1. When I counted this one, it was 3, the variation of 2. And what it means is that I'm actually losing 500 naira from this particular shelf. That's just the simple meaning. So you can take out your time and at your own time and do these simple things. Maybe I can decide to just pick out a shelf or a category and count it. Now I said this, remember I said there are 3 ways. I've mentioned the first one, which is to just load all the products and count it at once. Then I mentioned the second one, which is to do it by category or by shelf. And the last one, which is usually some persons see it as the easiest form, is actually to search for the products and do, right? Let's see. Now how does this work? This works simply by let me start again. I'm going to close this. I'm going to open the stock taking platform, and now what do I need to do? Now let's say for instance I just want to correct some few products and I wrote them out in a sheet of paper, let's say like 5 items. All I need to do is that I'll just come here, search for the products, each one, right, and do select the product, put the quantity that I need to put there, then search for the other products, and let's say reload this particular product here, I put it there, and I correct the quantities I need to put there. And this is how I'm going to simply just correct those 5 items, right? And after doing that, I do the same process, overwrite and do. So this one is just pretty straightforward. Now alternatively, you can to now do this in a more in a bigger sense. For instance, I'm talking about just 5 products. Let's say for instance I have like I want to still do it shelf by shelf, right? All I need to do is just to take out my biro and my paper, the particular shelf I want to count. Once I get there, I just use my biro and write down the simple the products shelf by shelf the way it is there. I'll just write it there. I can write maybe like one particular shelf that might have like 20 products. Once I write down those products, I come right here and start entering them. Once I'm done with that, I know I've balanced those products. So you see, just do the same process I explained earlier. So what you need to do, once you count the products on the paper, right, you just bring it to this stock taking platform. There are several places you can actually adjust the quantities, but the reason why you need to do it right here is because here is going to give you a proper report of what is going on, right? So what you need to do, you just come here. Let's say I've written out 20 items or 50 items. So the idea is that you should not take too much that you cannot do. So even though I have like 1,000 items on my system, or maybe I have 4,000, you can say I had 4,900 on my system, right? I don't need to do 4,900 the same time, right? The essence of doing stock taking is that you just want to correct your discrepancies. So you do it little by little. So you can actually take a shelf that has probably like 100 items, write it down, write the quantities down, then come here and just keep entering the stocks one by one after the other. This one, I put the quantity, I search for this one, I put the quantity, just like that. I can just keep doing the quantities and put the quantities that I have counted. And to get to this search keyword, all you need to do is just to click the F2, and it takes you to where you do that. Let's say Clomid, I do this, I put the quantity, I click my F2, I search for another product, paracetamol, I put the quantity and all that. So I'm done. At the end of the day, I do my overwrite. After overwriting, I save, you see my report and all that. So that's just basically how to do your stock taking. Thank you for